This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
A statement made in the series of the season tonight at American Family Field. The largest Brewers come from behind victory, and they do it none other against the Chicago Cubs over at American Family Field to take game one of their three-game series. Ladies and gentlemen, this one tonight by a final score of 8-4. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Locked On Brewers postcast. My name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me over on X, formerly Twitter, at Brandon_Snide, and follow all of my work over at WTMJ.com, where we cover all of our Wisconsin sports teams. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. Remember, we are free and available wherever you get audio podcasts: Apple, Google, Spotify, a bunch of terrific podcast apps, as well as over on YouTube, where we are live right now. Just go to that search bar, type in Locked On Brewers, hit that subscribe button for me, please. Hit that notification bell. Get notified when we talk about Brewers wins and some losses. And do me a favor and hit the thumbs up on that video as well. Your thoughts, your reactions, and tonight, baby, over the Cubs, your celebrations, an 8-4 victory. Lots to get to on the program. Jacob Mizerowski, rough start, finishes strong. A big response from the Brewers at the plate. I did not have it on my bingo card what we saw tonight. We'll get into that. And they set the tone this evening in game one, as we had mentioned, with that 8-4 win. 63-43 on the season now, 20 games over 500. More importantly, you get game one against the Cubs in a victory. You take a one-game lead in the National League Central now over the Cubs, as they have good reason to celebrate this evening. We'll get into all of that. And of course, throughout the program, your thoughts, your reactions, all welcomed on. We'll get to all of them as we go on. Let's begin with the scoring summary today, brought to you by Monarch Money and GameDay Hue. Rough one for Jacob Mizerowski. A couple of walks, a line drive, a ground ball off of Mizerowski would load the bases. Then he would strike out Pete Crow Armstrong in the first inning, but of course it had to be a wild pitch and a run would score, and that would give the Cubs a 1-0 advantage. And then Ian Happ, a dribbler right between home plate and the mound. Jacob Mizerowski, a little too amped up, little too anxious, overshot Andrew Vaughn at third base. 2 runs would score, and that would make it 3-0 Cubs after the first inning. Both teams would go scoreless in the first for the Brewers and the second for both teams. The Brewers had Matthew Boyd on the ropes, both in the first inning and in the second inning. Runners on first and second in both sets of those innings, weren't able to capitalize. But that takes us to the third inning tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and an interesting point in this game, and tonight's turning point in an 8-4 win.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Boy, did it feel like the Brewers needed this in a very, very big way. Get a couple of guys on base. Christian Yelich would hit the double. That would score a run. And now you're thinking, okay. Now the Brewers getting in a little bit of getting Matthew Boyd on the ropes and taking advantage of some of those early opportunities. And who other than Isaac Collins, who, if you go back, certainly over that 11-game win streak, you really go back to parts of June, the guy has come up to bat in key moments in a lot of different games. And tonight, no difference. A single to right field, that would score 2 runs. That would tie the game at 3 apiece. Bryce Terrain later in that inning would also hit a sacrifice fly. That would that would give the Brewers a 4-3 advantage. And then Andrew Vaughn in the 5th inning. I just cannot say enough good things about Andrew Vaughn. And I know that people are pounding their table for a bat at the trade deadline. I understand it. I get it. Andrew Vaughn has been absolutely fantastic since that trade for Aaron Savali from the White Sox, a change of scenery. He has just demolished for the Brewers at the plate, as well as good defense on the at first base as well. A no-doubter, almost 400 feet to left field for Andrew Vaughn would give the Brewers a 5-3 advantage. Sal Frelick, once again, holy smokes, how good is it to have Sal Frelick at the top of the order for this Brewers team? 2 for 4 this evening, a solo shot home run to right field. There was no doubt at all about it. As soon as it left the bat, you knew it was gone for Sal, and it feels really good to get the top part of your order stabilized with Sal Frelick at the top. Well, it could use some fixing, obviously, with Contreras in the 3 spot, but he was 2 for 4. William Contreras, that was for this evening. Christian Yelich, also really good at the plate tonight. 2 for 4. We'll get into Yelich here in a minute. Kyle Tucker in the 7th would single. That would score 1 run. That would give the Brewers still an advantage of 6-4. And then, boy, oh boy, it had to have felt good off the bat of Christian Yelich just making it over that right center fence over in that 7th inning. A good response from the Brewers. This would be after William Contreras was also on base, a 2-run shot for Christian Yelich, and that was his first extra base hit, guys, in the second half of the season. So very, very much needed in many different ways. A good response, as we have always seen from this Brewers team, really, outside of even the 11-game win streak. You go back to the beginning of June, really bookmarked it at June 12th. Every time this team sort of gets pushed back, they bounce right back, and that's exactly what they did in the 7th inning. After the Cubs made it a two-run game, Christian Yelich puts them to sleep with the 2-run shot, 386 feet, just making it over that right center fence, and that would give the Brewers an 8-4 advantage, and that's all they would need. We would see a ton of bullpen arms tonight. And Pat Murphy, not thrilled about Trevor McGill, but he would go out and get his 24th out of 27 save of the season. Just needed 3 pitches to end it. We saw a 1-inning appearance from D.L. Hall, a 1-inning appearance from Nick Mears. Grant Anderson, not a great performance. Jared Koenig had to come in and get the last 2 outs of that inning. Abner Uribe in the 8th inning. Craig Yoho would get a really interesting part for Craig Yoho was that 9th inning. He gets the first 2 batters, and I believe it was 5, 6, 7 pitches at most, and just struggled the next 2 batters. He would walk the next 2 batters. That would force manager Pat Murphy's hand. That would bring on Trevor McGill, who shuts the door as the Brewers get the win in Game 1 and set the tone, in my opinion, for this series, an 8-4 win. I did some research. I was kind of curious. I knew, thinking to myself, that for me, and this is for every game, I expect this Brewers team at this point to win every game, and that may or may not be realistic, but Game 1 of a 3-game series is pivotal. And I know it's July baseball technically yet. We're almost through July, and there's a lot of baseball yet to be played. This series here at American Family Field is not going to dictate who wins the division. It could help, but it's not going to be the ultimate deciding factor. But I was curious, the percentage of teams that win Game 1 in a 3-game series, especially at home. So in a 3-game series, if a team wins Game 1, they have a 76% chance to win that series. That bodes well tonight, obviously, with an 8-4 win. The home team, though, if they win that Game 1 of a 3-game series, obviously this is the Brewers' homestand here, a 79% chance. So a good opportunity for this Brewers team to jump on these Cubs in Game 2. We got Quinn Priester on the mound tomorrow, and then Freddie Peralta in Game 3. But it was huge tonight to get the win. And it goes back to the beginning of this game for this Brewers team. We had mentioned in the 7th inning where Kyle Tucker gets a single and bats in a run, and it makes it a two-run game. And then Christian Yelich with that 2-run home run, and this Brewers team just being able to respond. But let's talk about that first inning, guys. And shout out to Jacob Mizerowski. Not the best stuff, not his best start. That goes without saying. But he allowed those 3 runs. Only one of those Cubs hits left the infield in that first inning. You know, an error scored 2 runs. So it wasn't necessarily all bad for Jacob Mizerowski in that first inning, but for him to bounce back, and then he sat down the next 10 batters for Chicago after that first inning. So a big shout out to Jacob Mizerowski. He finishes the game pitching 4 innings. He only allowed the 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 80 total pitches on the day for Jacob Mizerowski. A touch above what we saw on his last outing, where he went 3 2/3 with 64 pitches thrown. His ERA now 2.70. So I thought it was really good. A good learning experience for Jacob Mizerowski, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to have these right now in these moments. This is a playoff series. I don't care what the players will say. I don't care what, I mean, even Brandon, actually, I should take that back because Brandon Woodruff said it's going to be a playoff atmosphere. This is a playoff series type atmosphere for Jacob Mizerowski. Yes, that he struggled in that first inning, a little excited on that throw after getting hit by a ground ball from Seiya Suzuki, and, you know, could have gotten out of that inning with minimal damage. Not his best control, but for him to get into it, to corral all of that negativity in that first inning and shut it and put it behind him and march forward and pitch 3 shutout innings the next going forward for this game and keeping it a 3-0 game, and then allowing this Brewers offense to absolutely jump. Home runs from Sal Frelick, home run, as we mentioned, from Andrew Vaughn, home run, as we mentioned, from Christian Yelich. The first 3-run homer, ladies and gentlemen, first 3-run homer game since the first game in July. It's almost a month span where this Brewers team hasn't had multiple home runs, 3 or more. Tonight, they do it against the one team that they have to beat at American Family Field, which includes an 8-4 win over the Cubbies. Your thoughts, your reactions, and the player of the game all coming up right after this. Today's program is brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it certainly can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just a budgeting app either. It's more than that. A complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, all of your investments, all of your spending in one simple place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building your wealth. What I love about Monarch Money is I have a lot of different accounts, and everything is kept in one simple place with the app. Super easy to use, super easy to understand, navigate, and you can find all of your spending in one spot. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Today's Locked On Brewers postcast is also brought to you by our wonderful new partners over at GameDay Hue. And so is this hat I'm wearing if you're over on the live stream. For Brewers fans like me, this one hitting the mark. I got it in Brewer Blue. It makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and every college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the golf course. Yes, the golf course, or anywhere in between. I mentioned golf course. It's not just for hats. If you're on the stream right now, check out their split shade golf gloves made for the golf course, or the perfect gift for the fan who has everything. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. Right now, 15% off with code MLB15 at GameDay Hue. GameDay HUE.com. You can stack that as well on bundle deals. Once again, that's GameDay Hue. GameDayHue.com, code locked on MLB 15. An 8-4 win over the Cubs in game 1 of their 3-game series. A bounce back performance from Jacob Mizerowski after a shaky first inning. And we didn't get to the player of the game. And this one, we mentioned the home runs from Sal Frelick. We mentioned the home runs from Andrew Vaughn. We mentioned the home runs from Christian Yelich. The bullpen, a slew of guys pitching, great defense all around, but none of those guys are tonight's player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Teased him a little bit earlier, and I mentioned his name in that third inning, and it was the turning point in tonight's game. But Isaac Collins, and I know the Brewers had put a run up prior to him stepping up to the plate, but that 2-run RBI single to right field that got the game back to tied at 3. The Brewers would eventually take the lead with the Bryce Terrain sac fly. But what a spot for on Isaac Collins tonight. 2 for 4 as well. We mentioned the 2 runs batted in. I thought it was a big moment for the youngster, an opportunity that this Brewers team desperately needed at the plate. Another clutch hit from a Brewer player. We saw it from Blake Perkins on Sunday. Isaac Collins stepping up and making it happen. An absolutely fantastic performance tonight from him at the plate. He's going to get the player of the game. You got to give an honorable mention, though, as the guys we have mentioned. Sal Frelick, 2 for 4. William Contreras, 2 for 4. Christian Yelich, 3 runs batted in. He was also 2 for 4. It's not a coincidence when the meat of your order, Yelich, Andrew Vaughn, William Contreras, combined tonight. 5 for, let me see if I can do quick math, 5 for 9 tonight between the two of them. 5 for 11, excuse me. There's where the math is coming in. And it's not a coincidence when you're 5 for 11 in the meat of your order that this team is able to produce 8 runs. And we saw the lawn ball tonight in a game where we needed offense early because of the trouble that Jacob Mizerowski fell in after that first inning. But a great performance, a great win for this team all the way around. Again, the largest comeback of the season. We mentioned how important it is for the home team, not only any team really, but the home team to win game 1 of a 3-game series. I mentioned it at the beginning of the show. I don't think anybody's going to argue this is the series of the season so far. The only negative tonight, there's a little bit of negative in an 8-4 loss. The hit streak for Jackson Chourio came to an end. So it's unfortunate, but a good bounce back performance from Mizerowski, and certainly for the offense, as we have mentioned. Your thoughts, your reactions on the program. We begin with everyday or catch. Brew Crew chugging on some slugging. This is the kind of offense that can take care of the season against the Cubs and deep into a postseason. The next 2 days are going to be big. This was a statement for this Brewers team. I believe it was. I really do. And I think that's going to help set the tone, obviously, for the next 2 games. An unconventional Brewers win. We haven't seen them hit 3 or more home runs in almost a month span, right? And now you're getting sort of the meat of your order, the Christian Yeliches, the Andrew Vaughns. Andrew Vaughn's just been fantastic since he's been up as a Brewer, an OPS over 1,000 since he's taken over first base for the Brew Crew now for 2 weeks, I think, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. And William Contreras as well. A lot of people talking about the struggles, and certainly William Contreras has had them. Tonight was a good performance from him at the plate, as well as Landon over on YouTube also says Vaughn is an absolute monster. He has been absolutely fantastic. Everything this team has needed and more. Jaden, part of our everydayers over on YouTube, says we definitely need one more bullpen arm. Yoho not getting that last out was frustrating. Pat Murphy was not thrilled and did not mince words or cover his mouth walking to the mound when he had to go get Trevor McGill. He was not thrilled. Very, very frustrating outing. I'm assuming Craig Yoho not going to sleep well tonight. He didn't surrender anything. The Brewers won. He didn't give up any runs. But you get those first 2 batters rather out quickly, and then you struggle with your command with the next couple of batters. So that was definitely frustrating. Pat Murphy was not happy whatsoever, but nonetheless, the Brewers did get the victory. Harley over on YouTube, great win. Glad McGill only threw 3 pitches to close it out. Side note, Suarez got beamed on the hand, so this may affect the Brewers' deadline plans. Go Brewers. X-rays on that hand came back negative. I would anticipate we will not see Suarez in a lineup probably until after Thursday, after the trade deadline, but it was a scary injury down there. A lot of people holding their breath, including Arizona, I would imagine, as it didn't look good. Anytime you get hit on the hand, man, it is scary stuff, but a good outcome for him as nothing seemed to be seriously injured going forward. Every day or Cody, it didn't start pretty, but a heck of a performance by Miz to hang in there. That was a heavyweight fight to the end back in the first, and let's build on that. Go Brewers. Again, I mentioned it. It's getting sick of me saying it. Statement, man. That was a statement victory. You set the tone. You were deep into whole Jacob Mizerowski, all the hype around him and the performances that he has been, dealing in a Brewers uniform. His hats, for the first 11 innings of his career is in Cooperstown. 5 games, he's all of a sudden an all-star. All the hype, all the excitement. A playoff type series against the team that and most Brewers fans hate most. Everything against him. How many starts has Miz now had? I'm thinking off the top of my head, right? He goes against Clayton Kershaw. He goes against Paul Skeens, right? He has all these big time starts and these national headlines, and he gives up 3 runs in that first inning and kind of falls apart a little bit in that inning and gets a little rattled, isn't enjoying that pitch, that strike zone, but able to really bounce back for this team. That was huge, man. That was really big for him to go the next 3 innings and sit down 10 straight batters at one point and let the game kind of settle in. That's a great learning moment that Jacob Mizerowski had on the mound tonight. Wasn't pretty, but it was certainly, it certainly was a learning moment. Not a Whale over on YouTube says, thank you, Cubs fans, for spending money while flying that big L. Yes. Thank you for coming up to Milwaukee. I hope you come back tomorrow, and I hope you experience another loss. Kep over on YouTube. Now is the schedule for Brewers broadcast. Ortiz 0 for 4 and a heart attack in the 9th grade win, and hope to keep the momentum going tomorrow and Wednesday. I'm glad Bill got some good contact tonight talking about William Contreras. I wouldn't say heart attack in the 9th. Certainly eyebrow raising, sitting back up in your seat maybe, but I don't think I didn't really have any concern in the 9th inning. If Seiya Suzuki at the worst hit a 3-run home run, maybe I'm getting a little bit worried, but I still would trust Trevor McGill to shut it down, and he did it in 3 pitches. Every day or Nick, let's go Brew Crew. Trevor McGill, my player of the game, because what the heck happened to Yoho? Good team win. I'm starting to agree a bullpen arm might be needed. Still would like another bet. NL best record. I guess there's a good and bad with the bullpen. I do agree. I don't think you can never not have enough arms, but it was good to see Nick Mears today. Remember, he hurt his back prior to an appearance a couple of games ago. he showed out in a big way. Only pitched 1 inning, but struck out 2 batters. So Nick Mears looked good, looked healthy. So that's going to be a big thing going forward. If he's okay and good to go, I feel better about the bullpen, certainly. But yes, I do think the Brewers are going to be in the mix for a relief pitcher. No doubt about it, as they should be. Everydayer Peter, what a response from the crew after a slow start from the Miz. Yelich looked great. Andrew Vaughn keeps raking. Have to give it to Yelich with some big RBIs. It always feels like when it's a series against the Cubs, it's when Christian Yelich is his best. If there's one fan base that despises Yelich probably more than any other fan base, it has to be the Chicago Cubs, because it always seems to be when he is at his best. And he certainly was this evening, as we had talked about. 2 for 4, batted in 3 runs, including the put him to sleep 2-run shot in the 7th after the Cubs had scored in the top half of that inning. So a great bounce back performance from Christian Yelich at the plate. We mentioned it, his first extra base hit, that home run, or excuse me, that double that he hit earlier in the game in almost this, I think before July. It would have been the first since the second half, since the start of the second half. So almost at the beginning of July. So it was a much needed hit. And I bet you Christian Yelich is feeling mighty good going forward. Kevin over on YouTube, part of our Everydayers, big bounce back. Miz found it after that first inning. The offense came alive. And what a way to start this series. An absolutely fantastic way to start this series. I would not have drawn up the Brewers winning in this fashion. I did not see 3 home runs. I know Matthew Boyd was probably due for an underperforming type of game, and he certainly was. He took the loss tonight, drops to 11-4 on the season, pitching 5 innings, and he surrendered 5 earned runs. As I had mentioned, the Brewers had a couple of chances early on Matthew Boyd, and that's kind of when you knew. And I was still upset. I was still throwing stuff around the house, still angry after that first inning. But the first inning, Matthew Boyd walks the first 2 batters of this game, Sal Frelick, Jackson Chourio. Second inning, same thing. His command was just not there. It just didn't feel like he had his best stuff this evening, and the Brewers just couldn't capitalize until they obviously did in that third inning, thanks in big part to Isaac Collins. Mitch over on YouTube, Matt Arnold got 3 everyday starters and 2 starting pitchers for almost nothing this year. Andrew Vaughn, we'll see what the trade deadline, I understand that's still going to work itself out. I would anticipate Suarez is still part of their plans moving him forward, but it's hard not to look at Andrew Vaughn and be like, so far this year, that's the move. That's the move right now. Aaron Savali had no room in here in this starting rotation, especially with guys like Nestor Cortez making their way back. We have seen Brandon Woodruff now 4 starts, Robert Gasser on a rehab assignment. So there was no room for him. You sent him out. You took I wouldn't say a gamble, really. I don't think it's a gamble at all. As a former 3rd overall pick in the 2019 draft, has all the talent at the plate in the world, tons of potential, needed a change of scenery, needed some new voices, and he came to a winning organization in Milwaukee and has been nothing but fantastic. Ty in the Mile High. I know half of you guys gave up in the crew after that first inning. Keep the faith. Very, very frustrating moment, certainly a part of this game. And it wasn't just because of the part of the Jacob Mizerowski. As I had mentioned, the Brewers had Boyd on the ropes early in this game and weren't able to capitalize. In the back of my mind, I'm sitting here thinking, like, this guy clearly doesn't have his best stuff. Matthew Boyd, that is. I hope the Brewers don't allow this guy to get off. Like, I hope they don't allow him to get off with not scoring anything, not putting any pressure on the Cubs and whatnot. And certainly that, proved to not happen, thankfully, but I was frustrated. And I think most Brewers fans, had moments in that game to be frustrated. We'll wrap up here with David. I know it was only 3 pitches, but how good is Trevor McGill? It really seems like we have a closer who's not going to throw big moments away like we have in the past. He was not messing around in the beginning. I shouldn't say at the beginning, at the end of that 9th inning. He didn't come in at the beginning. He came in with 2 outs, 3 pitches to Suzuki, and that was all he needed for his 24th save. The Brewers' 63rd win of the season, in first place, sole possession right now over the Cubs in the National League Central with the 8-4 win. Before we go, there was some news regarding Ryan Sandberg, formerly of the Chicago Cubs. I do want to send out my condolences, my well wishes to his family. Such a tremendous player, such an icon for the city of Chicago, for the game of baseball. Surely will absolutely be missed. I would be remiss if I didn't mention his name, and a guy that I grew up early in my life paying attention to. And I just want to send out the well wishes to the Sandberg family and Chicago fans all over, despite the Brewers and the Cubs having a big rivalry. We still, want to, have those moments to honor the absolute greats. And tragic news from Chicago. But our thoughts and prayers here on the Locked On Brewers postcast are with you all. The Brewers get the 8-4 win over the Cubs, as we have mentioned. 20 games over 500. Quinn Priester on the mound tomorrow evening, and we'll talk about it here on the Locked On Brewers postcast. Again, my name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at Brandon_Snide. Follow all my work at WTMJ.com. And remember, wherever you get audio podcasts, you can get the Locked On Brewers postcast wherever you get those podcasts, free and available, as well as over on YouTube. Just go to that search bar, type in Locked On Brewers, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, get notified when we go live, and we will go live after the last out tomorrow in Game 2 of the 3-game series. 8-4 Brewers win. As always, it certainly feels extra better when the Brewers win, and it feels extra better when they do it over the Chicago Cubs. My thanks to all of you. We'll talk to you tomorrow after the last out. Thanks. Have a good one.